Today what we are doing is we are starting on lesson 2.3, which is adding, subtracting, and multiplying polynomials. There are two methods that you can choose to use when you are adding, subtracting, and multiplying. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to do addition in both methods so you can see how they end up with the same answer. So the first one I'm going to do is the vertical method, and the equation is 5x cubed plus 2x squared minus x minus 7. That is the first equation. The second equation is x cubed minus 3x squared plus 4x minus 2. Now, you want to line up, in the vertical method, you want to line up the common exponents underneath each other. That way, it's easier to see. Because in addition and subtraction, all you do is add the whole numbers. You do not do anything with the variables or the exponents. You only work with the numbers. So I'm going to start on this side, and a negative 2 minus 2 is a negative 9. A negative x plus 4, and remember a negative x means a negative 1x. So a negative 1 plus 4 gives me my 3, and again I keep my x because I have done nothing with the x. I'm going to go to 2 minus 3. That gives me a negative 1, and again I keep my x squared. Nothing changes with it. And then I have 5 plus x, and remember x means 1x. So 5 plus 1 gives me 6, and I keep my x cubed. And that is solving vertically. All right. Now, the horizontal method, we're going to use the same problem, but I'm going to put them in parentheses. This is the horizontal. All right. We have 5x cubed plus 2x squared minus x minus 7, then plus x cubed minus 3x squared plus 4x minus 2. In the horizontal method, you're going to combine like terms, and you're going to look, is there an x cubed in both parentheses? If so, I put them side by side because I rewrite it so I can see what's in common right next to each other. So I'm going to say 5x cubed, and I'm going to look over here and see that I have a positive x cubed. I'm going to go back and say, okay, well now I have plus 2x squared, and on this side I have a minus 3x squared. Go back and I have my minus x, and on this side it says plus 4x, and then my last is a minus 7 and a minus 2. I do this so I don't take a chance on losing any of my numbers. So now these are right beside each other, and I can say 5x cubed plus, again, just x cubed means 1x cubed. So 5 plus 1 is 6x cubed. I have a positive 2x squared minus 3x squared. Again, we're only working with the whole numbers. So it becomes a positive 2 minus 3 is minus 1, and we keep our x squared. Minus x, which again is 1x, so minus 1x plus 4x is a positive 3, and we keep our x. And then a negative 7 minus 2 is minus 9. So as you can see, both methods get the result in the same answer. Now that you have seen both methods, we are going to do a subtraction problem, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose to subtract horizontally. All right, so in this problem I have 4m to the 4th minus m squared plus 5m minus a negative 2m cubed plus m squared minus 2m plus 6. Now, when you have a multiplication, remember that you have to distribute that, that's subtraction. When you have subtraction, you have to remember to distribute this subtraction into everything inside. Because this is the same as saying a negative, multiplying everything by a negative 1. All right, so I want to say a minus a negative becomes a positive. So I'm going to, first thing is rewrite. A minus a negative becomes a positive 2m cubed. A minus times a positive is a minus m squared. A minus times a minus becomes a positive 2m, and then a minus times a negative becomes a negative 6. Now that I've gotten rid of my parentheses over here, I can do the same over here. I'm just bringing every bit of this down. So I'm going to say 4m to the 4th minus m squared plus 5m. Everything, no parentheses anymore, everything is on a level field as far as what can be used together. So what we have to do is look at the exponents. Is there any other m to the 4ths? I see a 2 and just a plain, and then a cubed and another 2, but there is not another 4th. So I can say 4m to the 4th. Now, I see my next highest, because remember, we're working in standard form. So standard form is highest exponent down to no exponent. So I need to make sure that I go to the next one down, which is a 3. And I see I have one. So I'm going to go ahead and say plus 2m cubed. Now, I go to square because that's the next one down. I have a negative m squared. Remember, a negative m means a negative 1m. And again, over here, a negative m is a negative 1m. So I have a negative 1 minus 1 gives me a minus 2m squared, because we don't do anything with our m squares, but bring it down. Then I have 5m plus 2m gives me 7m. And then the only thing I have left is my minus 6. And there is the subtraction horizontally. The last part that we're going to talk about today is the multiplication of polynomials. Multiplication, in this regard, if there are two portions in this parentheses, that means each portion in this parentheses has to be multiplied by everything in the other parentheses. So therefore, it is distributing this negative x squared to this whole parentheses. So I'm going to write it in that form. I'm going to say a negative x squared and times everything in here, so x squared plus 6x minus 2 And then remember, I have to do that with my plus 3. So I'm going to say plus 3 times this whole parentheses, x squared plus 6x minus 2. All I've done so far is rewritten the equation into a distribution. Now, we can look at it, and at this point we can start remembering our rules of exponents. Remember that when it's a parentheses, but it's not a power against a power, that means this parentheses is being used as a multiplication. So a negative x squared times x squared is going to be a negative x to the 2 plus 2 power, which is 4. A negative x squared times 6x, so that's going to give me a negative 6, and we have 2 plus 1, so x cubed. Because remember, x by itself is to the first power. A negative x squared times a negative 2, a negative times a negative becomes a positive 2x squared. On this side, we have 3 times x squared is 3x squared. 3 times 6x is 18x. And then 3 times a negative 2 gives us a negative 6. Now we combine like terms. That means all the exponents that look the same, we have to make them into 1. And so there's only one fourth power, so a negative x to the fourth. There's only one third power, so minus 6x cubed. But now we have 2x squared, so we say 2 plus 3 gives us 5, and then we just bring down our x squared. We have 1, just x, so plus 18x, and then our minus 6. And now we have multiplied the polynomial. The last part of this, again, we're doing multiplication, but this is something that looks different because in the last multiplication you had 2 parentheses, but this time you have 3 and you might not know where to start. And so what I do is I choose my first 2. So I'm going to put a bigger parentheses, and I want to distribute this set of parentheses to this one. All right, so I'm going to rewrite as a distribution. So I have 2x times everything in this parentheses plus 1 times everything in the parentheses. Now, in this regard, all I've done was distribute. Now, the next step is to multiply. Remember that just x means x to the first. So I'm going to go ahead and put that here. 2x times 2x, we can say 2 times 2 is 4, and now we have an x and an x, so x 1 plus 1. 1 plus 1 power. All right, then I have 2x to the first times 3, which gives me 6x to the first. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to distribute. 1 times 2x gives me 2x, and again to the first power. And then 1 times 3 gives me plus 3. Now, we don't want to keep it 1 plus 1, and so we're going to go ahead and combine that. And so now it is 4x squared plus, we can combine these two. 6 plus 2 is 8x, and again it's to the first, plus 3. So now this is a parentheses, but we still have to bring this parentheses down and multiply. So I'm going to go ahead and do that here. The next step is to distribute this parentheses to everything here. And so again, I'm going to rewrite and I can say 4x squared times everything in this parentheses, x minus 1, plus my 8x to the first, again times this whole parentheses, x minus 1, and then plus 3 times the whole parentheses of x minus 1. Again, all I've done in this step is distribute. Now we can begin to multiply. We have 4x squared, and remember it's to the first power, any plain x. So we have 4x squared times 1x to the first, so we can say 4x to the 2 plus 1 power. Then 4x squared times a negative 1 gives us a negative 4x squared. Over here we have 8x, and then we have times x, so that is to the x to the 1 plus 1 power, and then 8x times a negative 1 gives us a negative 8x, and again it's to the first power. Last set, we have 3 times x to the first, and then 3 times a negative 1 gives us a negative 3. At this point, we combine like terms, and we want to make sure that our exponents are showing one number. So we have 4x 2 plus 1 gives us cubed, so 4x cubed. Now, 1 plus 1 gives us 2, and so we can say 8x squared, and I'm going to go ahead and write that so we don't forget where this extra square came from. And then to the first and to the first, we automatically say minus 8 plus 3 gives us a minus 5x minus 3. So the only thing left is to combine these two. So we have 4x cubed minus 4 plus 8 plus 4x squared minus 5x minus 3. And that is how you multiply 3 sets of parentheses.